What's up guys, it's Eli and welcome back to the channel for another video. In today's video, I'm going to show you a few settings that you can change in Logic to help you record faster. Let's dive in. All right, so as you can see, I already have my Logic opened up and I have a session started. Now, I am assuming that you are somewhat familiar with Logic and you know how to start a session, create some tracks, and import some files. So we're not going to get into this. We're just going to pick up from right here. Just a few quick tips before we jump into the meat of this video. Whenever you're recording, regardless of what DAW you're using, there's a few things you need to make sure you have on. First, you need to make sure you have low latency monitoring on. Right, so in Logic, you just click on the record menu and enable low latency monitoring mode. All right, and the next thing that you need to do is make sure your buffer size is as low as your computer can handle. To get this done in Logic, you click on Logic, Settings, Audio, and you put your buffer size to as low as your computer can actually handle and play back smoothly. For me, I'm not monitoring through Logic, so my buffer size does not matter. I only mention that because I know some people are going to notice that my input monitoring is not on and they're gonna think like, hey, you probably should turn that on so you can hear your artist. And since I'm not monitoring through Logic, it doesn't really matter. Let's jump into the meat of this video. All right, so looking at my Logic session, you will notice that I have, beside my beat track, I have 4 audio tracks ready to go. Now, why do I have 4 audio tracks? Well, let me explain real quick. The first track is going to be my record track. So anything that I record will be coming from that track. All the other tracks are simply monitoring tracks. What that means is once I record a take, that take moves to one of those tracks and we keep going, right? So I don't have to spend time adjusting things, creating awkward silent moments while the artist is losing their mojo. So having multiple playback tracks allows me to fly through the recording session and the artist is hearing everything in real time and not even knowing what's going on. I'm going to do a little demo so you guys can see what those playback tracks are used for. All right, so let's take a look at the settings that you need to get done right in order to fly through your recording session. The first thing we need to do is to enable our smart tools. Right, what that will allow us is to be able to make quick edits on the fly without having to switch between what hotkeys that we are using. So by default, Logic gives you access to a primary and a secondary tool. Right over here, your primary tool is the pointer by default, and you can change that to whatever the type of work that you're doing. And your secondary tool, which is accessible by holding down Command. To access the other tools, all you have to do is just hit the letter T and then the letter for the tool that you want, or you can simply click on it. All right, so that is how you access the other tools. And if you want it to be your primary tool, you just click the drop down menu under your primary tool, do the same thing, and secondary tool, do the same thing. Now, there's a faster way we can do this. Instead of doing all of that, why not set it up to where all the primary tools that you might need are already available to you without having to do anything? So let's activate a few tools that will be accessible without having to hold down a command or anything, but it will be accessible based on where you are clicking. All right, so what we're going to do, we're going to go to Logic and we're going to go to Setting, General. And if it's not already under editing, you want to make sure you click on editing, and we're going to enable fade tool, click zone, marquee tool, click zone, and quick swipe and take editing, click zone. What that does, essentially, depending on where you click on the track, you have access to one of those tools. All right, so on the upper half of the track, it's your select tool or your pointer tool. You're able to click, hold the file down, drag, do what you need to do. And if you hover over the second half, like the bottom half of the track, your marquee tool is now activated. All you have to do is just click there and you've made a selection. If you want to select the wider area, you just click, hold, and swipe. That allows you to select a wider area. And if you want to delete that, you just Command X, double click, makes a quick edit, and by holding up to the edge of that file, let me make it a little bit larger so we can actually see what's going on. All right, so to the edge, upper half of it, you have access to your fading tool. So those are just a few things that would allow you to do quick edits on the fly without your artist even noticing what's happening while we're recording. All right, so that is the first thing that we need to have set. All right, so moving on, the next thing we need to have set is to enable quick punch. What that does is during playback, if we just hit record, Logic is just going to continue recording without any hiccups or anything like that. So you want to click on record and allow quick punching. Right, I'm gonna demo that in just a little bit, but essentially what that does is in the middle of playback, let's say your artist starts humming something and you want to capture it, all you got to do is just hit record. That will not interrupt the playback and you will be able to continue and capture whatever the artist is doing. The next thing that we need to do is to tell Logic where to start playback, and you want to have control over that, not based on what you have selected or anything like that, but you want to be able to tell Logic, hey, I want playback to start here, and that's where Logic is going to start playback. All right, so what you want to do, you want to right click on your play button and make sure you have this option selected, play from marquee selection. If you do not have a marquee selection, Logic is simply going to start playback where the playhead is. Before we start doing a little bit of a demo recording, there's one option that I was not able to figure out how to turn it off. It's like playlist recording. That's what, at least that's what it's called in Pro Tools. I'm not sure exactly what Logic calls it, but that's basically recording for comping. We don't want to do that. We're not recording for comping later on. We're actually going to be doing a comping in real time as the artist is recording. So I was not able to figure out how to turn that off. So if you guys do know how to turn that off, make sure you comment down below and let me know. For this demo, we're going to try our best not to create any comping sections. But I think we should be fine. And using the techniques I'm about to show you, that's going to allow you to record a lot faster in Logic. That's actually a technique that I learned from Pro Tools. And to activate that in Pro Tools is simply by selecting your recording mode to be quick punch. But in Logic, as you just saw, there's a few different settings that we have to enable to make sure that we are able to do that. All right, so assuming everything is good to go, we are set and we're ready to record. We've already tested our levels, and now it's time to start recording, and we know exactly where the artist is going to start recording from. So now nothing left to do but record. All right, so how are we gonna record faster? Now remember, we just set Logic to play from where we tell it to play from, and we enabled quick punch recording, and we have our low latency monitoring on. All right, so we're pretty much ready to go. So what we're going to do now is basically set a starting point for Logic to start playback from, and we're going to start recording. All right, so let's do it. All right, you just notice every time I hit play, Logic started right there from that selection. All right, so to start recording, we're going to be using our keyboard shortcut to record, and that is the letter R in Logic. If you want to change your keyboard shortcuts, you can do that. I don't like to do that myself because I don't think it's necessary. But if you do, more power to you. But for this demo, we're just going to stick to the Logic basics, and the letter R is going to enable recording, spacebar to play and stop. I've told Logic where to start recording from. Now the only thing left to do is start recording. From here on, whenever we hear a mistake or anything that we think we should re-record, we're just going to tell Logic, hey, as soon as I hit record again, that's where I need you to start from. Assuming that they already know they made a mistake and they're going to want to retake that again. Right, so we don't want the artist to actually hear all the edits that we are making, right? So you want them to actually hear the only thing that's necessary, right? So what we're gonna do, we start recording, right? So Logic is recording. We just heard a mistake. We assume that you're gonna want to take that back, right? So I'm gonna set my marquee tool, right? And I'm just gonna stop real quick and restart recording right away, right? So by doing that, that allows the artist to just get right back in. But as Logic is recording, I'm just going to drag down this file down here because I don't want to create a duplicate. So I just drag it down. But I know the beginning was bad, so we don't want that, right? The recording, everything else is good. All right, so they just made another mistake. So we're going to start from here. Right, record again, but we don't need any of that, so I'm just going to trim it down and bring it down to my next track. All right, Oh, I just heard another mistake again. So, and this time this whole thing is bad. So I'm gonna set my marquee tool and start recording. This whole thing is bad, so I don't need it. All right. All right, everything is good so far. Oh, I just heard another mistake. All right, so let's say the mistake is right here. We just select our marquee tool, bam, start recording again. And again, I'm bringing this down. But wait, I don't need all of this. So I'm just gonna turn what I don't need off, delete. Oh, just heard another mistake. It's right here, right? Recording again. Bring this down. Right, we don't need all this. Ooh, just heard another mistake again. Then record again, and of course, we keep moving these files down, making those edits because we don't want the artist to know what's happening, and we want them to be comfortable, but we don't want to stop playback either because we don't want to take them out of their comfort zone. All right, so assuming this all is good, and that's the end of this section. Now he wants to hear it back. He's like, hey, can you run that back? I already have my marquee tool selected. All I got to do is hit play. And now we are listening back to everything that was just played. But wait, the artist is actually not hearing this track in real time because remember, I'm not monitoring through Logic, I'm monitoring through my interface directly. So if I leave it just like this, they're not gonna hear this last section, right? So I have to drag it down to make sure it's on one of those playback tracks. Notice that I only used 2 of my playback tracks. It just so happens to be in this take that I didn't need to use that 3rd track. But I always like to be safe. I'd rather have something and not need it than need something and not have it, right? So that's why I created a 3rd track, just in case if I had some overlaps, I could still do my edits on the go without having to worry about stopping, so I can make sure the cuts are good and clean. That is how you're able to use the marquee tool and all those settings that we just did to allow you to record faster. But what I wanted to do basically is not only record fast, but I also wanted to make edits so when the artist hears back what they just recorded, it's just the good stuff. You don't want them to hear all the mistakes that they made. They already know they made the mistakes. That's why we had to go back and redo some takes, right? But you don't want them to hear those mistakes. You just want them to hear the good stuff. That is going to keep the momentum going. And before you know it, your recording session is going to be done. So basically, just repeat the step all the way through the song, and that's it. If you're able to record like this, your artist is going to love you. Right? Do not let your DAW hold you back. And that is it for this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to drop a like and comment down below and let me know what you think. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell for more Logic Pro recording tips. I'll see you in the next video.